Today, it is about dealing with what is facing me as I witness my reality changing. It is an understatement that the world is very different to what it was almost 4 years ago. And we can all see that and have experienced the burgeoning new dynamics in our cultures, social stance, and what is now important. That is on the surface level of what is seen or unseen, and it hides the undercurrents of what is actually taking place in reality. The story is colossal, and some may find it very hard to chew, spitting out the hard lumps of truth in favor of the sweet delights of normalcy. Life can be seen as a valley with two encampments, each perched on a sloping hill facing each other, and in between them, separating them, is a river of consciousness. How the two camps even begin is lost in a time before time, and then even way before that. The first camp is known for its sabotages, shortcuts, attacks, subterfuge, servants, slaves, submission, and general lack of sobriety. Second camp is known for its compassion, caring, its clarity, sobriety, conscience, conscious expansion, Christ consciousness, and morality. A large river with raging waters rushes through the valley and thunders out a challenge to anyone wishing to cross it. The first camp sends a catapult of rocks at intervals that stagger the senses, and everyone ducks beneath a cover in Camp 2, hoping to avoid the assault. Some other Camp 2 beings are at the river's edge, calling across the torrent for those in Camp 1 to get into a boat or a life vest and to make their way across. Alas, to some avail. Those in Camp 1 across the valley only see a group being assaulted, and although they share the camp with sinister masters, they do not wish to be amongst those that are in harm's way. Those in Camp 2 under duress would rather duck and dive than live amongst those who are captured. A river of consciousness separates the two encampments of beings. This brings us to the topic of this article. It may not matter which camp you have placed yourself in, because you are either caught in a shadow self or you are facing those shadow selves. The cruelty of being in a particular energy means that you are blind to the issues and traps that it may have. Being in any camp means that you have either forfeited your own thoughts and have allowed yourself to be placed there, or with your thoughts you have created yourself to be there. You may be blind to what is going on around you, or you may be completely taken by the narrative, feel comfortable where you are. When we find ourselves pulled across a valley and yanked over a torrent amongst those that embody the hope that change is thriving upon, we are faced with a view of the other side. The view can be heart-rending, enraging, or bring about feelings of despair. It is never easy witnessing the slavery of others, or the blind faith of those that have no other way of knowing what is important right now. It is never easy witnessing the capture of loved ones, suiciding and acting out in hopelessness, being a witness of another camp that at times feels so far away and so impossible to reach that it aches, and the reality of things, and it is not easy. We can feel fragmented while we must deal with the inevitability of those who we love and what they have to go through and what we have to move through in our own consciousnesses. If we are pulled too close to the river in an attempt to reach out and grab a loved one, we are in danger of falling in ourselves and being lost in the river of time. We have to hold something back so that we don't topple over. That holding back has its price, and before our own eyes the camp seems separated by a Berlin Wall as loved ones drift into addictions and apathy. Our children and grandchildren are left without a guiding star, and we send out a lifeboat to bring them to our side, where they will learn to be in another camp, their parents lost in time. All is not bleak as the camp grows in strength and numbers, prosperity and kindness. There is a buzz that cannot be explained as everyone works towards something they cannot see clearly yet in the fields around them, but they see it clearly in their dreams and night visions. Behind them a hill is crested by the dawning of a new day, as the sun's rays cast a million shadows on the other side of the valley in another camp. It can be difficult to stand in the light and observe the shadows. It is better to become the light, so that we don't cast any shadows. But the shadow camp must be allowed to exist for all those whose journeys still embrace the dark. As we gaze across the river, we look into the eyes of ourselves on another timeline, a self who chose differently and wanted something else, perhaps a self who cherished victimhood or anger and forfeited forgiveness and freedom. All we witness are versions of ourselves who each made different choices, acting out in fear, misery, spite, desperation, and lust, wanting to be told what to do, souls still craving the diabolic adventure or the rise to success upon the backs of others. It does not matter. A valley is designed for two camps, especially if it has a raging river cleaving it in two. From Psalm 23:4, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will feel no evil, for you are with me, your rod and staff, they comfort me. A new earth has been prepared, a new earth that contains all the qualities of Camp 2, for it is those elements that allow the creation of an expanding reality, a reality where freedom is no longer a word that is used, for its opposite has disappeared. Struggle, lack, abuse, torment, desperation, fear, victimhood, manipulation, deceit, and the list goes on, disappear with Camp 1 altogether. I know. I have been there, in the flesh, so to speak. Just a little while longer until the rocks stop falling and the shadows across the valley become silent and have no voices.